In this video, I'll show you how to bring your models from Blender into Roblox Studio with textures. In other words, this tutorial will show you how to bake materials into images so you can drop them onto your meshes in Roblox Studio. I'm using Blender 3.2, but the steps will be similar in other versions. This is the model I'll be using. It's got multiple parts and we want to bring them into Roblox Studio separately, so I'll show you how to do that. First, we need to apply any modifiers. If you haven't used any modifiers, then just skip ahead. But before we do anything, I'd suggest you save a copy of the file. To apply the modifier, just hover your mouse over it and press Ctrl A. We're doing this so any geometry introduced by the modifier can be unwrapped. The next thing you need to do is make sure every part in your model has unique materials. In this case, I've used the same material for both eyes. This would be fine if each eye were identical, but the right eye has a slightly different shape. So to do that, in the Materials panel, click the duplicate icon, and this will create a new material with the exact same nodes. I don't think there's any other shared materials, but I'll check just in case. Now go to the UV editing layout. We're going to unwrap the model, select one of the parts. Make sure you've only selected a single part, not multiple parts. Then go into edit mode. You can also do this by pressing tab on your keyboard and then go into face select. You can do that by pressing 3. Then press A to select every face. Press U to open the UV menu and select Smart UV Project. This is going to automatically map out all the faces onto a 2D image for us. Then this menu will open. The two settings that you might need to play around with are angle limit and island margin. Angle limit is the maximum angle between two faces for those two faces to be considered part of the same island. So if you reduce this number, you'll have more islands, and this will reduce stretching, but each face will have less pixels, so the resolution will suffer. Island margin is how much distance is placed between separate islands. Increasing this will reduce bleeding between different islands, but again the resolution will suffer because each island has to be scaled down to make room between them. I'm going to leave angle limit at 66 degrees, and for island margin I'll use a really small value of 0.001. If you go with a smaller resolution for your textures, you'll need a higher island margin. On the left, you can see the unwrapped mesh. Do this for each part one by one. And now I've unwrapped all the parts. Now go into the shading layout. Here we can see the materials. Select one of the parts. Then click inside this area with all the nodes, press Shift A and search for Image Texture. Then click New to create a new image. This is where we can decide the resolution for the texture. And you should name it something relevant to keep everything organized. You want to make sure the image texture node is selected. On the right, you can open this menu that shows what node is selected, and it should say image texture. If you deselect the node by clicking off, it'll still say image texture, but you need the node to be actively selected, so make sure you click on the node, and then avoid clicking anywhere else in this window. And this will just tell Blender which image you want to bake the materials onto. This step is really important. Don't select some other node, make sure it's the image texture node that you've just created. For the head, I have multiple materials. We'll want to bake both materials onto a single image, and I'll show you how to do that. First, let's make the image texture node for one of the materials. For each separate part, you need to create a new image, and if you want, you can use different resolutions for different parts. Then let's go into the next material for the head. Create the image texture node. This time, click the drop-down menu and find the image you just created. This is because we want both materials to be baked onto a single image. Again, make sure the image texture node is selected. and now I'm doing the eyes. Remember that I created a copy of the eyes material. If I didn't, then I wouldn't be able to create an image texture node for the left and right eyes individually. And that's all the image texture nodes created. Now on the right, click the camera icon. You'll need to use the Cycles render engine. If we change it to something else, the bake menu won't be there anymore. And in here, you want to set bake type to diffuse. This bake type will give us just the color and ignore other properties. The direct and indirect options are for lighting. In this case, I don't want to bake lighting into the texture, so I'm going to uncheck these, leaving just color. Before you click bake, make sure you select every part you're going to bake the textures for. Now we can click the bake button. At the bottom, you can see the progress for the current texture. This will take some time, so while you're waiting, make sure you like and subscribe. The first texture has finished baking, which we can see on the left. As more textures finish baking, you'll see them pop up there. Now all the textures have finished baking. Find the textures you've baked, and for each of them, you'll need to save the image. So click the 3 bars, and under Image, select Save As. You can also press Shift-Alt-S. This will open the File Explorer, so you can choose where to save the image. Before you save, you can change some settings for the image. I like to set the compression to 0 so saving the image is a little quicker. Compression won't affect the image quality for PNG files, but if you're using something else like JPEG, then it will have an effect on the quality. And then let's save. Do this for the rest of the images you've baked. And here's all the textures in the File Explorer. All that's left is to export the meshes. In this case, there's many parts. It'll take a lot of effort to export each part one by one, so we can instead do a batch export. Go to the scripting layout. In Templates, under Python, find Batch Export. This is the line that's important. Here is where we determine the type of file. Roblox supports FBX, OBJ, or GLTF, so we want to use one of those. For example, if you want OBJ, you can just swap out FBX for OBJ, make sure it's in lowercase. I'm just going to go with FBX, but it doesn't really matter what you go with. Also, make sure all the parts you want to export are selected. Then click the Run button. And here's all the exported parts in the File Explorer. Now we can open Roblox Studio. I'm going to create a new place for this, but you can open any place you want. First we need to import the meshes. Under the Home tab, select Import 3D. If you don't have this button, you can also go to File and select Import 3D there. The File Explorer will open, just select all the files you've exported. And in the Import Queue window, you can see all the parts ready to be imported. If we click Import now, the parts won't be in the right positions. So click on one of the parts names, and in this menu, check Insert using Scene Position. Then click the 3 dots and select Save as New. Name this whatever you want, then click Save. We now have an import preset we can apply to the rest of the models, so they are in the correct positions. Let's close this menu. Then right click on the row with the new preset and select Apply Settings to All. Now every part has the new preset. Let's click Import. Once it's done, we can close this menu. You'll find all the imported meshes in the workspace. They'll all be in separate models. It's a little big right now, but we can resize it later. Let's group them all together by pressing Ctrl G, and I'm just going to rename it. Then I'll ungroup the individual models by pressing Ctrl U. Let's resize the model. Now we need to add the textures. Select one of the parts. We'll need to put the texture in this property. We can do this much easier if we first publish the game to Roblox. If you've already done that, you can skip ahead. Go to File and select Publish to Roblox. Then click Create, and you'll have to wait a bit for the game to publish. Now select one of the parts again. And now when we click the property, this menu pops up. Click Add Image, then choose File and find the image in the File Explorer. Then click Create. It'll take some time for the image to be uploaded. And now we have the texture on the mesh. Let's do this for the rest of the parts. And now we've brought a model from Blender into Roblox Studio with textures. If this video helped you, make sure you like and subscribe. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful day.